This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's episode of the Motor City Sports Rant is brought to you by Score, a new mobile app coming soon. Score is an interactive game that lets users win deals at bars and restaurants based on what's going on in live sporting events. Find new places to watch the game and save money on your bill at the same time by taking advantage of Score's unique interactive specials that give you an additional stake in the action. A Score special can be anything a location wants it to be, from 10% off an item if a team scores a touchdown to a free round of drinks if the quarterback throws for 400 yards. Any stat can be turned into a game. Pick the deals you want to win, watch the games you want to watch, and score deals in real time. The app will update when your teams or players record a relevant stat. When the conditions of your deals are met, coupons are sent to your device to show to your server or bartender. It's that easy. Score is coming to the App Store and Google Play very soon. For more information, check them out on the web at score-app.io and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at ScoreDeals. Score. Watch games. Score deals.
Detroit is the greatest! Straight up light you on fire for a Coney dog right now.
Darren McCarty comes back to Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty
Stafford takes, throws, end zone, Calvin, touchdown, Detroit Lions!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Motor City Sports Rant on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. As always, a slightly congested host, Jason Jarvie. Follow me on Twitter at Jarvie the King. And with me also, as always, is John, the polo-wearing master of... I don't know what. John Macaron, what up?
You can refer to me as the master of everything. I would not mind that at all.
I would not refer to you as the master of everything, though.
What's going on? You caught this bug that's going around. What is going on? Because all my friends, a lot of colleagues are reporting that they got this cold. My kids caught a cold. You know, for me, I'm just a simpleton. I mean, I just take a multivitamin, one a day, Men's Health, vitamin D, because everybody in Michigan, because now with the clocks rolling back, everybody, you know, the sun now is going to go down at 5 p.m. every single day. It's going to be dark. Everybody in Michigan, I believe, has vitamin D deficiency. But knock on wood, I don't get that sick. What is going on? Why is everybody sick all the time?
And I wouldn't call myself being, I generally am pretty healthy. The most I get a little drippy in the nose and it drains into my throat a little bit. But
why?
Because we're in Michigan. It gets cold. And I think that's really what it is. It's that.
Isn't that a myth, though? You can't get a cold you cannot get sick from being outside in the cold. That's a myth.
But I think it's also you're just around people who are generally, if they are sick, they aren't washing their hands. I think and that's probably the biggest epidemic in Michigan.
Jason, you're not one of those dudes that doesn't wash his hands when he uses the restroom, are you? Come on. Oh, no!
Hey.
I shake your hand every time we greet. Come on, man. Are you getting me all sick?
But anyways, the entire weekend, my wife is sick. She was out, and it sucked. I mean, it's always hard when, and especially now with a baby. It's not even for me having to take care of him, but I know for her it's really hard because the weekend it's her time also to it's family time. It's able to spend time. So it was a tough weekend, and even the kid his nose was running. And if anything, I probably got it from him. You know, I'm holding him, and he's at least a handful of times sneezed in my face. So I might be pointing the blame back at my son for getting the cold, but you know, whatever.
Note to self: when Jarvie walks in, make sure you wash your hands before and after podcast recording.
Maybe just, where's the Purell around here?
I definitely should, huh?
You need to.
Yeah, I probably am going light here on the supplies at the office, but that's how you basically kind of skimp a little bit on some supplies. You know, I do have a restroom there that has soap that's provided to me free. So why would I go out and buy Purell?
Even if you went out and got Purell, and you could go like 75 Purell, maybe some water in there. You know, just to give your people something, man.
Okay.
And then everyone would be like, man, I love that John Macaron guy. He's got Purell.
All right, Jason, on this episode 128 of this fine podcast, lots to get to. We're not going to talk about the Lions as much because we're recording this on a Monday, and tonight the Lions will take on Green Bay. We're going to definitely hit on Michigan State and their awesome victory versus Penn State. We'll talk about the Red Wings and the Detroit Pistons in the second half of the podcast, but we will address this one question with the Detroit Lions. One, how confident are you that they can pull out this victory tonight versus Green Bay? Do you think that when we convene again next week, that the Lions will get the W to get to 4-4? I think we both had them around that after 8 games, 4-4.
I kind of want them to, but I put my confidence level right now at 50-50. It's really tough for me to come in here and just be like, they got this. They know what's wrong.
Go Lions! Yeah!
I can't be that guy now. I really do. I have faith that they can pull out a victory, but my brain just kind of seeps in, and realistically it's a 50-50 shot. If you can tell the tale of the tape. No Aaron Rodgers, no Martellus Bennett for Green Bay. Our offense has looked putrid in the past couple weeks, and we're coming off what is it 3 straight losses? So going into Green Bay, a place where we generally never win, the cards are stacked up against us, but there is the possibility with when there's no Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think Brett Hundley is the Matt Flynn that we took on a few years ago when he broke all Green Bay passing records. So that's the one thing that you really that you have going for us, is that Green Bay's offense isn't going to be going full speed, and you're gonna have to take advantage of that. And really, I put this one's going to come down to the defense. Glover Quinn, somebody like that, is going to get a pick 6, and that might be the difference in this game.
I threw out a poll on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast, and the poll question reads, how confident are you that the Detroit Lions will win tonight on Monday Night Football? 19% not confident, 36% voted they will win, 45% voted no clue it's the Lions. That's how challenging it is to decide, because you and I would not be surprised if Hundley goes out there, throws for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards and has a performance like Jared Goff did versus the Giants. You wouldn't be surprised by that at all, nor would we be surprised if the Lions went out to Lambeau Field and got their second consecutive victory versus Green Bay and got out there and destroyed them. So I feel like, when you look at the Detroit Lions, you don't know. That's the tough part when you evaluate this team, is if they do what's right, if they just go out there and perform to their capabilities, then you probably believe they can beat Green Bay, that Matthew Stafford is better than Hundley, that the Lions defense should be able to take advantage of, a Packers team that doesn't have their best quarterback on the football field. But the one caveat that the Lions can't shake, and Vito wrote about it in his blogs and things like that, it's the Lions. You never know if they're going to show up prepared. You never know if they're going to play stupid. You never know if Caldwell is going to be Caldwell and not kick the proper field goals or not make the proper game calls. So you never know. And with the Lions, the past always comes back to haunt them. So if we're sitting here next week and they would have lost that contest, I don't think we'd be surprised at all.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I will be surprised if Brett Hundley comes out and just absolutely shreds our defense, because, Matt Flynn, I don't know, he'd been behind Brett Favre for so long, and Aaron Rodgers. This is a guy, we've seen what he can do for at least 2 weeks now.
All right, call your shot, Jason. Lions victorious versus Green Bay?
I'm going to call, it's going to be such a boring game. It's going to be 20-13 Lions.
Go Lions, baby. That's what we're talking about.
Go Lions!
And
yeah!
It's going to come down to a Glover Quinn pick 6.
Let's talk about something that is super exciting to you and I. I mean, when we sit down and we evaluate a contest and you look at just what Michigan State brings to the table against a team like a Penn State, you go, the matchup is in favor of Penn State. But one factor that we are not looking at with Michigan State is their heart, is their motivations, is their desire to perform. And Mark D'Antonio, for whatever reason, is just an amazing coach at bringing out the best in his group. Now, he had a 3-win season, and by all accounts, it's an aberration. This is not the norm at Michigan State. And when you look at his entire body of work, you now recognize that he's starting to build an unbelievable resume in terms of how many number of victories he has versus top 10 teams, what he can do with talent that many people will argue in terms of just the stars, 3- and 4-star athletes. He brings them to a quality level. In anything, when you look at college football and professional football, when you have a quarterback that can lead you, Now Brian Lewerke's had back-to-back 400-yard games. He's emerging as a leader on this team. When you have that solid position solidified, you can sometimes elevate yourself better than people would have expected. When you go into a season with a Tyler O'Connor and he's just not that good, then you have a 3-win team. Now you got Brian Lewerke, and the man is definitely in charge of that offense, and you have some talent around him with Felton Davis, Rison. You got a quality running game. You got a defense that can do some things, and Mark D'Antonio is a solid, maybe even underrated defensive coach.
Yeah, I would say that Mark D'Antonio has come out.
Amazing victory, brother. Great win.
He's just, not even just this game, but just this entire season, he's silenced all of the doubters. And I count myself as one of those doubters, because after 3-9 and after the offseason they had, it was doom and gloom for Spartan fans, thinking, you look at everything that's going on in Ann Arbor, you look at everything that's going on in Columbus, that the magic had dried up, and that we might get back to 7-8 wins, but the thought of getting back to Big Ten championship is probably years away, and it may even be the next coach away. But Mark D'Antonio comes back, and he does exactly what he has done since he's been here, is that he's built this program up. He really is probably one of the best coaches, if not the best coach. Well, let me step back. Let me step back, because I don't want to get into too much trouble. As far as the Big Ten, I think he's one of the best, if not the best coach in the Big Ten. And then when you look at a national scale, I think he's definitely one of the top coaches. If you're a Spartan fan, you got to be worried. We've started hearing, we've heard rumors every now and then that Mark D'Antonio could go somewhere else, but that's something that we need to watch out for. Big programs like Florida and Tennessee, they're probably going to become calling in, Coach D.
Now, Jason, I agree with you in terms of the respect that we should have for Mark D'Antonio. I disagree with you, and I'm going to tease a question we're going to ask a little bit later in our talks regarding Michigan State. But for what Michigan State was as a program, a college university that always took a back seat to Michigan, that always was, put in the back seat and looked upon as an afterthought regarding the headlines and regarding what the potential could be for the university. They were always put in the background. Now you get Mark D'Antonio, and he puts up results. He puts up, situations where we get Big Ten tournaments. We get to go to the national playoffs. We have a chance to get ourselves to the National College Football Playoff. We can evaluate, can Mark D'Antonio take the program from where he's got it to, a perennial 9-11 win team, and can he elevate into that rarefied air of super teams like an Urban Meyer can do, like a Nick Saban can do? And that's a question I'm going to ask you a little bit later. But in terms of what Michigan State is versus where they were, Mark D'Antonio has done an admirable job. This is a man that took a program at Michigan State that was looked upon as an afterthought, as a second-rate little brother program. He came in here and he's built a swagger. He's built an attitude. Now, have you had a couple rough seasons? Of course. But how do you handle adversity? You come back, and we just got big win after big win. Nobody thought that Michigan State potentially could go out there and, win versus Penn State. Now, there were some that said it.
There were people who didn't think we could go out and win against Michigan.
Exactly.
Both of those games, Penn State, and even for me, it's Saquon Barkley is still, I think, the best running back in the league. But what we've been able to do we stopped that guy. We've completely underestimated what D'Antonio and what they've done on that team this year.
He has firmly implanted himself as a guy that can be at that job forever. Now, the game in and of itself was marred a little bit by a 3.5-hour rain delay. Some people have looked upon it a little bit and said, has the Big Ten, has Michigan State basically put the student athlete's best interest at heart by letting them sit around, maybe just eating and doing some things, and then having to get themselves back and warmed up and after sitting down for so long? Did Michigan State put their the welfare of student athletes in jeopardy by not canceling that game? And I say, look, by now you should know kind of how to do things if there is a rain delay. It's not great for the aesthetics of the game. I think only 4,000 people came back after the rain delay happened. And what I think Michigan and what Spartan Stadium did was, if you wanted to just walk in, you could have. You could have just walked in without a ticket because the majority of the fan base had left. And I don't give them any grief at all for leaving a game like that. It's horrible weather. But for Michigan State, I don't think they should have canceled the game. But some people have kind of messaged on blogs and messaged us and said, look, why didn't they just postpone the game until Sunday?
I don't think you can do that. And
super tough, right? Logistically,
it's
how do you do that?
It's tough to do that. I think you try to get those games in as you try to do whatever you can to get that game in, because what if you never really want to come back on Sunday and play that game? What do? Do you just pick up where you left off? I think it worked out, and it definitely worked out in our favor. It became a slop fest. It was. Nobody was really running or was able to get much going.
The other talking point was, does Michigan State win that game if it's not a slop fest?
I think I give them a chance, because I think the weather was still going to be bad. Even if there was no lighting, and it was still going to rain. So you're playing through that, and it would have been interesting. It would have been down to the wire. It would have been, who makes the most mistakes.
Man, great stuff, too, with the weather. It makes it so that I think it plays into the strength of Michigan State. Solid defense and the ability to make big plays in that environment. And so having that game at Spartan Stadium was definitely an outstanding performance, and one where they took advantage of the situation. They took advantage of the elements, and it played, I think, into Michigan State's favor and their strengths a little bit more than Penn State. But all credit to James Franklin. Did you see him running after his team?
I love that. That was great.
That was a great thing for him to do. It shows quality sportsmanship when he runs down the field. If you don't know what happened, the game ends, and obviously Penn State's disappointed because it was a last-second loss. Michigan State kicks the field goal to win the game, and some of his players are leaving, and he's sprinting as fast as he can to get them to go back and show respect, to shake the hands of Michigan State. And it is one of those things where when you see a coach that instills mutual respect for his players, you can't help but respect a guy like that.
Yeah, it's a moral victory for Penn State that, this is a team that they knew that they lost that game, that there wasn't much they could do. I would understand more the previous week when they were up big against Ohio State, and they were just it was more on them, that they were just so disappointed that they got up and then let Ohio State come back, because you're disgusted with yourself. But this is a game where both teams played hard. There wasn't some miraculous comeback. It was just who had the ball at the end. Michigan State happened to be that team, and they were in position to make that field goal to get the win.
You see the line, the opening line that Vegas has for Michigan State against Ohio State? Oh my God. On the road, I think it's like 15.5, 16-point opening line. They got Michigan State plus 16. You believe that?
Lose?
Yeah, they got Ohio State defeating Michigan State by a lot. Are you shocked by that number? Let me check here the opening line.
Well, yes, obviously. This being after a week where we upset the Penn State, and another week where Ohio State got demolished and demoralized by Iowa. That line should not be anywhere near that. That's, if anything, I would put it at maybe 7, maybe 6.5, because Michigan State has proven their defense is good enough. And with the troubles that Ohio State's offense has, yeah, they can put up points against the scrubs of the Big Ten, but when they come up against good teams, that's when they start to struggle. They struggle against Penn State, and then they struggle against Iowa in a tough situation.
According to oddshark.com, right now on Monday, the opening line is 14.5. The expected score is 40-22 at this point in time.
That's ridiculous.
That is very ridiculous, don't you think? I would probably say bet the house on Michigan State plus 14.
I mean, yeah.
Wouldn't you think?
If I had money that I could just throw away, then yes, I would totally do that.
I think it's going to be a defensive effort, and there's a chance Michigan State wins outright. They have an above-average chance of winning this game, don't they? JT Barrett hasn't distinguished himself. I mean, look, just last weekend, we all saw it. Iowa rolled them. Iowa destroyed Ohio State. Were you surprised by that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we beat Iowa. So it's like, I do hate making those comparisons. Be like, oh, well, Ohio State lost to Iowa, we beat Iowa, so that means we're better than Ohio State. Yeah, that's not the way that football, and specifically college football, works. When more often than not, teams stumble along the way in the beginning of the season, and then they grow. It is a little bit more concerning with it being just this previous week that, Ohio State got blown out. So how much more are they going to grow in this 1 week to prepare for Michigan State? I'm not also going to discount the fact that Urban Meyer is going to want to come in. They want to beat. I think they want to beat up on Michigan State. I may ruffle some feathers with Michigan fans, but we've been a bigger rival to Ohio State than Michigan has in the past couple of years. And you know that Urban Meyer and Ohio State, they want to win, and they're going to want to make up for this drubbing that they got in Iowa. So that is my one concern, is that if somehow Ohio State is able to get up big in this game, maybe early in the first or second quarter, that's when I'd start to worry that Michigan State may not have the offensive creativity to get back into the game.
Michigan State sometimes has a propensity to make things really difficult on Urban Meyer coach teams, and I'm sitting here excited. I think that Michigan State right now, they're going with the notion that, look, nobody expects us to win. Definitely keep underestimating us. Keep calling us out. Keep calling us, weak links. And I think it's a situation where, the Michigan State football program definitely knows how to play up.
I mean, that's our perfect position. We love being the underdogs.
Michigan State is a perennial underdog, and they love being in that role. I do believe that when you see lines like that, Mark D'Antonio can go out there and say, look, the whole nation disrespects you. Nobody thinks that you're going to go out to Ohio State and handle your business. But it'd be an amazing situation to go out there, play at Ohio State, and to play a solid game and get that victory. That would be an amazing cap to where we're at. I think right now we're 7-2. Quality.
Pretty much playing this game. We are playing to go to the Big Ten championship. Both teams now control their own destinies. It's a two-team race, unless all hell breaks loose and everybody starts losing games. It's between Ohio State and Michigan State. We have scrubs in Maryland and Rutgers coming up after Ohio State. So legitimately, if we do win this game, we're going to go to Indianapolis. And
this year, that'd be an amazing feat.
It is. I mean, we are kind of shooting ourselves in the foot as a conference. I don't care about the conference. I only care about my team. But I know some people do. If Michigan State goes to the Big Ten East and they win, then the Big Ten's not getting into the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think this season's not a marquee season for the Big Ten to have a team, represented in the college football playoff. They probably
really, at this point, the only way somebody gets in is if Wisconsin runs the table.
The point I wanted to bring up that I teased earlier. Okay, now when we fully evaluate Mark D'Antonio, the question has to be asked: when do we raise our expectations? When do we say, look, this is a man that can get the program to 9 to 10 wins every year, and we can settle on 2 or 3 losses, because he'll always be able to sit on that accomplishment because of where Michigan State was. But when we talk about the Lions and Matthew Stafford, we rip Matthew Stafford and say, look, why are we judging him based upon the shitty history of the Detroit Lions? Screw that. Let's judge him based on the fact that he has not earned a playoff victory yet. Let's judge him based upon the fact that when he plays a team that has quality, that has a winning record on the road, it's not that great. The same thing was running through my mind when you were talking to me about Mark D'Antonio, when you were raving about him. My thought is, yes, man has done a fabulous job of bringing the team to where it is now. But my expectations have changed. I'm ready to see that next step, and I'm ready to see Michigan State step into the college football playoff consecutive years. Trying their best to, have a situation like Urban Meyer, where when we talk about recruiting, all the players want to show up to Michigan State. All the players want to have a situation like Alabama, where when the season starts, you can almost pencil in Alabama top 4 team. Can we realistically expect that from Mark D'Antonio? Most will say no, but here's some factors, though, that are preventing that from happening. You got an offensive coordinator that runs his offense like the Stone Ages, and there are situations where Dave Warner and that offense over-rely on the run. They're not exactly creative, and there are situations where that offense maybe is not good enough on a national scale. Now, in the Big Ten, you can have a great defense, you can have an above-average quarterback, and you can roll out there and you can get 7 to 10 wins every year in that Big Ten. Now, and that's no small feat. I give him credit for that. But at what point can a Michigan State fan base, a Michigan State fan like myself, say, can we get to that next level? Is Mark D'Antonio, has he, and what he's capable of doing, has he peaked?
I think it's a possibility.
He's peaked, I think.
May see the best
one
of what
more
Mark D'Antonio
run
can do.
Yes.
Now, what I think Michigan State can be right now, unless there's a fundamental change in that program and what Mark D'Antonio can do, this is what we're going to do. You're going to compete for the Big Ten every single year. Every couple years.
Should that be good enough? Am I being a fan that says that you're setting yourself up for failure?
I do think you're setting yourself up for failure. Unfortunately, I do wish that we could be in the national conversation every single year, that we're competing for a national championship every year. But realistically, there's only 2 teams that are like that, and that's
Ohio State and Alabama.
Those are the only 2 teams that can really claim that they're going to compete every single year. Clemson thought that they may have, been in that conversation now, but, they go out and lose to Syracuse. Oklahoma, the same thing. They went out, they stumbled. So there's really only 2 teams that are like that. And I think Michigan State, they've set themselves up that they're in that second tier. I think when you look at top 10 programs, I think
tier.
Michigan State deserves to be in that conversation almost every single year, that they can be a top 10 team. And the one thing, if you do want to possibly change the narrative of Michigan State and get to be a team that's competing every single year, is you have to go and you actually have to win a national championship, whether it's by luck or whether it's by the talent that you have. You have to go out and win a national championship. That's the only way that you can start to really bring in those kids, because like it or not, Mark D'Antonio, he does wonders with the kids that he gets, but it just comes down to Alabama and Ohio State get so many better players. And that's the reason why when we got in the college football playoff and we take on Alabama, they have, we had Malik McDowell, who was an All-American type player on our defense. The problem is Alabama had 11 of those guys on their defense, and we had to compete with that. That's why we got shut out by Alabama, is that we just couldn't handle, and Connor Cook was, broken.
Yep, that's what we're looking at, is can Michigan State get more supremely talented college football players into that program? They do, like I said, they have a program, they have a plug-and-play system where people will succeed when they target athletes. But we're asking, can Michigan State get to that national elite level? I say no, I don't think they can. I feel like Mark D'Antonio is going to stick with the people that brought him to the dance, and right now it is so overwhelmingly tough to have that kind of success that it's kind of like the Final Four in Michigan State basketball, that getting to the Final Four is such an accomplishment that can ride you out when you're at Michigan State for a couple more years. I mean, he's going to ride that Final Four appearance for a long time. I mean, it was only in its early infancy. You already took your program ahead of Michigan into the new system. And so if Michigan State gets back there, when you talk about and expect Michigan State to get there consistently, I think that might be the toughest goal for a program like that. And it's not wrong to ask that question. I just think that when you are honest with yourself, you recognize that it's going to be overwhelmingly tough for Michigan State to go from where they are now as a 9-10 win team, perennially, to a team that can go undefeated perennially and only have one loss. I think it's super tough, especially in the Big Ten East. You got Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and the entire Big Ten is so solid that it is unbelievably tough to try and go out there and win the Big Ten, let alone the East, then go out to the Big Ten tournament game and try and have to face the likes of Wisconsin on the other side. It's overwhelmingly tough, and I just don't think that it's such a big problem to potentially ask that question regarding Michigan State, but I don't think they can ever get there to that level.
Right, and I go back to it. They're going to compete for the Big Ten every year, and as a fan, I'm going to be happy that they're competing, that we're seeing good football. That some years they're going to beat Ohio State, some years they're not going to beat Ohio State. The one thing for me, you just always got to play tough against Michigan. If they somehow do win a national championship, that's when you might start to see something. Maybe you get a few more players. But at that point, if you win the national championship, you actually have to make it back there, because I think that's what you see with a team like Florida State. Florida State went out. Jimbo Fisher was... he was this hot coach and wins with Jameis Winston. They win the national title, and where are they now? They're competing, but they're not perennial teams. It's only the teams Alabama and Ohio State who get in every single year, and it's because they got the talent.
Okay, let's take our first time out. We'll come back with the second half of the podcast where we look at the surprising Detroit Pistons, 7-3 atop the Central Division, and we'll take a look at the Red Wings, who surprised a lot of people by shutting out the Edmonton Oilers on the road. Some good stuff regarding the Pistons and Wings in this last 7 days, and why not talk about some positivity next on the Motor City Sports Rant. Jason, I want to tell you about our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project, we were looking at a couple places to host our project, and thank goodness we found Podomatic. Why do we use Podomatic? Well, we've recorded 600 to 700 weekly podcasts, and we've only used one host site. Podomatic provides us with quality links, great customer service. They've been around for over a decade. So that way, when Jason and I record a podcast and rant and rave about Michigan State, we generate a link and boom, supporters across the country and even overseas can find our podcast. And that's how you grow your network, is by having quality content, great hosts, and you have a quality place to host your recorded audio. So if you're looking to start a brand new project, a brand new podcast, Doc and Jock, Jason, all the hosts here on the network, we're going to recommend one host site, Podomatic.com.
Say, little bitch, you can fuck with me if you wanted to. These expensive, these is red bottoms, these is bloody shoes. Hit the school, I can get them both, I don't wanna choose. And I'm quick, cut a nigga off, so don't get comfortable. Look,
Motor City Sports Rant, DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
Jason, it seems like you're not fond of DJ DOC's selection there. What's wrong?
Dude, Cardi B, she is so hood, and
I'm a boss,
garbage.
you a worker, what's wrong with you? Why don't you like this?
She won the Spirit of Detroit Award.
Yeah, you told me.
She won the Spirit of Detroit Award. Dude, and she just sounds dumb.
Really?
Man.
You're not a fan of Cardi B, huh?
I can't stand listening to her talk.
It's the way, like the high pitched voice and something like that.
It's, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't sound intelligent, and I don't like insulting people and calling them dumb. But it's like, oh my gosh, like
there's an immaturity in the way she expresses herself.
My brain listening to her talk.
So it's one of those situations where when you hear her, it's kind of like the nail scratching on a board kind of reaction. You get you just don't like it, huh?
It's like that person who texts and like they miss words and they misspell, and you're like, oh man, they're just, they're not paying attention when they're texting, and that's her when she talks.
Okay,
like part of her, like when she got the Spirit of Detroit Award, she's like talking to, oh yeah, I like that's what I like to do with, thanks Detroit and thanks City Council, and that's what I do with my music. I try to uplift spirit. Like, oh, yeah,
you're like, I can't follow this kind of conversation.
My brain.
Okay, so Cardi B won't be in heavy rotation, but I knew after how you described your last week that I would kind of mix it up a little bit. Speaking of mixing it up, my goodness, the Detroit Pistons coming out of the gate 7-3 after some lackluster performances, they've kind of turned it around a little bit. A lot more energy. They're performing well, back-to-back victories at Little Caesars Arena. The fans still aren't coming in droves to watch them play, but they're playing a lot better, and you're starting to see the emergence of some guys that they should count on. Defensively, Avery Bradley is on point. Andre Drummond has stepped it up. You got to give him credit. I mean, when you go and have, I think, 16 free throws, you make 14 of them in a contest, that's a significant change. And you look at Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, and what this team is able to do collectively as a unit. I'm starting to like what this team can potentially bring to the table night in, night out when they do bring the energy. I mean, they still have performances like they do against the Lakers where they go out there and they look like they don't belong on the court, but that's the third game of a 3-game Western swing. So you're going to have a game like that where you don't look like you're going to be, worthy of being on the floor, but few and far between to start the year, 7-3. It's nice to talk about.
John, this moves the needle absolutely 0 for me.
Really?
Dude,
why?
They're 7-3, so they're 10 games in. Yes! Woo! 7-3, 10 games in. Are we gonna let's go to the playoffs now? We're number 2 seed. Yeah. How many more games will we play? There's not many more games to play, right? There's like maybe a handful left. Maybe another 72 games. Come on,
Jarvie, are you revealing yourself to be a regular season snob in basketball? Come on, it's important because this is where we're at. I mean, you're not going to be a guy that's going to tell me, let's just wait till April. Come on now.
I'm not going to tell you wait till April. I'm going to say, give me at least a quarter of the season. Give me 20, 25 games, and let's see where we are at this point. Because, yeah, you're 7-3. Yes, you are number 2 in the Eastern Conference, which, for the East sucks anyways. You're 2 games out of being in 10th place. So slow your roll at this point.
Slow your roll.
At number 3, you got Orlando at 6-4. And then you have Washington, Toronto, New York, Philadelphia, all at 5-4. Charlotte, Indiana, both at 5-5. And then you get down to Miami, Milwaukee. Cleveland's 4-6 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland's going to be better than that. They have LeBron James. Whenever he gets healthy, they'll have Isaiah Thomas, and that team will get right.
Yeah, you figure that the peak for the Pistons is going to be 3rd to 5th seed because of the fact that Boston's on a tear right now. They're playing well. The Cavaliers have the best player probably in the entire National Basketball Association in LeBron James. You think that if they can, do some things throughout the course of the regular season, the Pistons should be able to maybe make it to a top 4 seed and have a home playoff series. That should be a realistic goal. But you could be looking up in them being 3-7. You go out there and you defeat the Clippers and you defeat Golden State, people are going to start going, whoa, rewind. They are beating some scrubs, obviously, in the Kings and Milwaukee, who is not the best team all around. But at the same time, in years past, they haven't started off this well. You have to give them some credit that despite all the adversity, they're showing up night in, night out, because the entire city of Detroit, people will say when they describe the Pistons, they're like, show me. We have no hope. We have no expectation. We don't see this team to have any potential at all. And now they go out there and are kind of changing people's perceptions of what they can do. Andre Drummond has to be able to go out there and change people's perceptions because he's the face of the franchise. And sometimes when all the pressure is put on you and you go up there and you live up to it, it's nice to see a little bit of a guy who's faced adversity, owned up to it, and starting to turn it around. And this is a guy that Andre Drummond, felt like should be traded. His name's always brought up in trade talks. And for what he's been able to do, he's been a force. And all we're saying is, at least pay attention. I think, Jason, you're missing out on some good basketball, some quality moments, some opportunities to cheer the team. You're missing out.
Dude, NBA basketball.
You're not really a fan? It sounds like you're not invested as much as you would be with the Red Wings.
No, I'm not. And,
okay.
NBA basketball, this is just it's not a problem just with the Pistons. It's a problem league-wide. NBA basketball is not interesting.
Really?
It isn't. I'm sorry, and maybe it's just me. I know that there's basketball fans out there who can watch night in, night out. They can even watch bad teams night in, night out. But this, unless you're a team like the Golden State Warriors, who just they put up night in, they are a team who put in and night out. And I realize that the Pistons beat the Golden State Warriors, but still, that's a team that I'd actually want to watch. This is a team that you can pretty much tune in the fourth quarter. It's going to be close. And, you can, if you want to watch, you can watch. If they're going to get blown out, they're going to get blown out.
Okay, Jarvie, I challenge you. Just sit and watch one game this week. Watch them on Wednesday versus the Pacers and kind of see watch them. Sit down. It's at 7. The games are 7 o'clock. You can get a sense from 7 to 8:15. Give them an hour. And I do think they're going to change your perception to where you might come out here next week and be like, you know what?
To watch. Pacers.
That's a team we can beat.
Indiana. Yeah, it's a team we can beat because they're Indiana. They have nobody.
So go out there, enjoy yourself a little bit of Piston basketball. I challenge you. Watch that game and watch what Avery Bradley brings to the table in terms of his stellar defensive play. Watch how Reggie Jackson and Andre now have kind of taken a little bit of a lesser role and have deferred to Tobias Harris and others that potentially help this team get over the hump. So just sit and watch one contest, and I think you will be impressed by what you see.
I refuse.
Okay?
I refuse.
I
Not
challenge
this
you.
week.
I challenge you.
I don't want to watch any of these teams.
All right, I'll just tag in a couple tweets on Wednesday.
If I have to watch the Pistons, I want to actually watch something else a little bit. And Pacers, Hawks, Heat give me nothing. I'll tune in. I'll tune in November 15th when they take on the Bucks.
Okay,
give me some Giannis Antetokounmpo.
We just beat them, so we just had an opportunity where we played the Bucks at Little Caesars and we defeated them. So don't sit here and be all like this with being a basketball snob, okay? I challenge you, just sit and watch 4 quarters of basketball. The game will probably be over like at 9:25, and the Pistons will come away with their 8th victory of the season, hopefully.
Give me Michigan State and Miles Bridges. I'll watch that. I'll watch them against Ferris State.
All right. What's your thought before we finish out this podcast regarding the Red Wings? I thought it was a quality performance by Mrazek when the Red Wings went out to Edmonton and shut out the Edmonton Oilers with Connor McDavid. I thought it was a quality performance.
I'm a little, again, it's kind of a similar thing where it's so early in the season. It's really hard to judge what this team is going to be down the road. The one thing that I think I am heartened by is that our team is at least complete now. You got AA on your team. You got Andreas Athanasiou, and he's starting to get going. It's a good win. You're able to stop a guy like Connor McDavid on Edmonton and whoever else they have. I know they have a ton of first overall picks on that team, and Edmonton is a team that should be doing something, even though they are 4-8-1. John, you set me up to fail here. You made it seem like this Edmonton team was so good.
Well, in years past, Connor McDavid has just had his way with the Red Wings, and so obviously at this point in time with the Red Wings, we don't just expect them to show up on the ice and win any game. So when they go out there and you're playing a superstar, an elite level talent like a Connor McDavid, to limit them to no goals with Peter Mrazek, arguably your backup goaltender, you got to give him a little bit of credit. That's all we're saying.
But I don't see Mrazek as a backup.
Do you have
Mrazek and Howard? They're 1A, 1B. And they could, realistically, Mrazek can start on almost any other roster in the NHL.
Other news and note regarding the Red Wings, Gustav Nyquist left the game with an injury. He's had a situation where he's had 5 goals this year, and he's done some things to kind of help, ease the offensive burden. But I'm kind of fascinated with the young lines of Anthony Mantha and Athanasiou and seeing what these young cats can do. And it is one of those situations with the Red Wings. You got to start seeing more of an emergence from Tatar and Nyquist. You got to see the young cats do more offensively to help take the burden off of guys like Dylan Larkin, Zetterberg, and the stars of the team. Obviously, guys like Franz Nielsen, we'd like him to produce more 5-on-5, but this is what you got. And so this team, the Red Wings, can be hot and cold, and I think that's what concerns a lot of people. But when they are clicking 5-on-5 with the energy and getting the puck out of the zone and doing the small things right, there's a team night in, night out that has a chance at least to get 2 points every night.
Yeah, I do. I love the energy that this team has. The one thing that I want to see this team do, I want to see them go out and beat the GD Tampa Bay Lightning. Kills me.
You don't like the fact that you lose to your rivals, huh? Yeah.
Every single time.
We get
this is getting to the point.
We get a lot of fans from Tampa Bay that message us and they're like, how do you like Steve Yzerman coming there and owning your Red Wings team? Yeah, it is tough when you play the elite teams like a Tampa Bay, like a Boston,
it's getting almost
Ottawa.
To the point of a team like that, back when the Avalanche. Mm-hmm. Now, there wasn't the tension and animosity and fighting as there was there, but it's that feeling that whenever you take them on, it's like, come on, guys, just take them out. Come on.
Yeah, Nyquist had a knee-to-knee collision, and Kenny Holland has come out and said there is no ligament damage, so that's a plus. Kenny Hollandaise. Kenny Holland came out and said that Gustav Nyquist, no ligament damage, so let's hope for a speedy return from him. But night in, night out, it's going to be a grind, and we'll leave here on this. Do you give any weight or notion that the Red Wings in that locker room, as an organization, they know the world is against them, the us versus the world mentality? Because the expectation from you, from me, from everybody, from Adam, from fans, is that this Wings team is garbage. So do you think that they can use that notion as a rallying cry to try their best to prove everybody wrong? Because if they make the postseason, granted, nobody has expectations they're going to do shit in the postseason, but if they make it there, do you feel like that the us versus the world mentality can apply to this group of Red Wings? Should they use that as a rallying cry to try their absolute best to prove national pundits wrong, to everybody that said this is a team that's devoid of real talent, that's worthy of getting to the playoffs?
At this point right now, I honestly can't say no. I don't see that from this team right now. It may just be too early in the season, but I haven't seen anybody come out and really talk about that. And, the one person, if Mike Babcock was still on this team and he was the coach, I could see that then, because Babcock is a fiery guy and he's going to stick up for his team. I just don't get that weight in the gravitas from a guy like Jeff Blashill.
Yeah, I see how you are, Jason. You're not a guy that jumps on a bandwagon and jumps off of it. You're kind of pragmatic. You walk up to the bandwagon, you kind of survey the landscape. You survey, is it safe to get on? You look around, there are too many people. Is it fun to be on the bandwagon? And you kind of stay on the periphery, whereas I'm on the bandwagon, off the bandwagon, going in and out all the time. And that's fine. I can respect your pragmatic view of being a fan, but I think it's more fun to be like me, where you jump on, jump off, get all riled up, and at this point in time, let's kick it up a notch.
It's also
and say,
annoying for a fan like me.
Yeah,
128 episodes, and you just realized this?
No, but I think it's time to try and convince you to jump on the Wings and Pistons bandwagon. I'm throwing you out a rope and saying, look, just grab the rope a little bit and just take a couple steps with us on the bandwagon. It's okay. You can get off. I know that you're not going to go up and down Woodward, up and down the fan bandwagon with me, but at least go a couple feet, man. Get on the bandwagon. Hop in.
I'll tell you what, I'll get on the bandwagon for the Wings quicker than I will for the Pistons.
Oh, shame on you. I think you'll be disappointed and fall flat on your face if you do get on the bandwagon. Long term, I feel like it's okay now to get on, but you want to jump off right at the right time, probably a little bit after the trade deadline. You'll recognize potentially that the Red Wings will be way down in the division, and now's the time to jump on so that you can at least enjoy some of the ride. The Pistons, I think you should jump on as well, in that you might enjoy a little bit more positivity than you would with the Red Wings. I think the Pistons are a playoff team. I put them at 43 wins. I think I might have been short. Maybe they might be in that 48 to 51 win team.
Come on.
Yes, go Pistons. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
All right, Jason. Always enjoy our Monday conversations. Makes the week really fun to start off, bantering a little bit about sports, our Spartans, the Lions, Pistons and Wings. Always enjoy the conversation. I'll leave you here with this. I dropped 151 points in 2.5 hours. My fantasy team is 4-5. I rode the wave of Jared Goff destroying the Giants. I'm getting back that momentum in my fantasy team, and this is a big week for me to try and get back in the playoff push. But to drop 150 points in like 2 hours, best feeling when you hit that ESPN fantasy button and you're like, whoa, T.Y. Hilton, Julio Jones, Jared Goff dropped 45 points, 300 yards plus passing and 4 touchdowns. Finally, it's nice to destroy your opponent and have no worries. It's so awesome. Great feeling. What's your team like?
I am actually doing pretty solid. The auction league that we started this year, I'm towards the top. I started off pretty hot. Some of the guys fell off. Slackjaw league, I'm doing pretty well. I got that Kareem Hunt and Antonio Brown going.
So what's your records in both leagues?
I am currently, before this weekend, 7-1 in Slackjaws and 5-3 in the auction league.
I am a model of consistency. After this week, I will be 4-5 in both leagues that I participate in.
Yeah, model of mediocrity.
Model of mediocrity here at the DSP Network. For Jason, I'm John. I always enjoy recording podcasts. You can hear them every day, DetroitSportsPodcast.com.
Well, thanks for stealing my line, John. See you next week.
Okay, nice, idiot. You. Bye-bye.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Loser.